Greetings, my people of the tarot. I am back, and this is pretty much a VR to Jennifer Ball and Diane Jiraki. Okay, see my glasses? I need new ones. They're come off because then you guys can see my eyes, and I don't get the glare. Okay, so what I'm going to talk about is diet. I've told people before I'm morbidly obese. I'm a big woman, and I've struggled with it pretty much my entire life. And I've done diets where I've been successful and kept a lot of weight off, but it always comes back on. So I am also an herbalist, so I've done a lot of studies. So I've done a lot of study about herbs, and I know about what our body needs. And I know that through my herbal studies. I have probably tried everything. I tried Weight Watchers. I did a microbiotic diet, which was lots of grains and stuff like that. And it worked for a while, but then it wasn't that easy to sustain because there was so much cooking in it. I also have low thyroid, Synthroid, so I'm on Synthroid. About a year and a half ago, or a year ago, I tried this diet called the Body Biology diet, which is not a bad diet in a way. And through that, I got this protein powder that I just loved, and I started drinking it with raw milk, not milk you go buy in the supermarket that's been homogenized, pasteurized, and had the life snuffed out of it. I'm talking raw dairy milk. It's something we can get in New Hampshire, thank God, blessing, because raw milk is really good for you. And I started drinking this protein powder with the raw milk, and I had to reduce my thyroid medication in half. And once I reduced my thyroid medication in half, good old Merck doubled the price of my thyroid meds. Bastards. So, a couple of months ago, I used to with Jennifer, and I've also been a vegetarian. I just couldn't stand the taste of the meat. It just seemed weird all of a sudden about 20 years ago. So, like, 7 months ago, I said with Jennifer and Diane that I would join them in, trying to get healthy, because I don't look at it as losing weight. It's like getting healthy. And I had heard about a diet, which is a high-fat diet. Well, that goes against everything I've ever been told, and that didn't make sense. But there was something. There is something in herbalism called the doctrine of signatures, and that is the basic principle is like cures like. So, say if you're using a root of something, it will get to the root of the problem. Something yellow is good for the liver. Yellow roots, dandelion roots, good for the liver. So there's a whole thing that goes into doctrines of signature, that like will cure like. So I came across the keto diet, and I thought, I ought to try that. So I started increasing more fat into my diet. And we're not talking 3 tablespoons here. We're talking fat. And so a couple months ago, I tried to do that without much education. And I went on a pizza binge to die for. Every day I had that pizza. And enough's enough. Will be 56 this year, and I can't live this way anymore. I'm pretty much a healthy person. Other than the weight, I haven't, knock wood, haven't had many issues. I do have back problems, yes, but pretty much fairly healthy, except when I got the Lyme disease. Another reason this ties in. So, last month I went to a Heart Health Expo where I did some readings, but I also got to listen to some of the speakers. And one of the speakers there was on a keto diet. She had a disease that she had from birth. She was born with an and I'm sorry if I can't remember what it is, but it affected her joints and muscles, so she could barely move. It was her back was being destroyed from this. So she gave a speech. She had been on a keto diet for 6 months. Not only had she lost 60 pounds, but she had regained much of her mobility. And she looks amazing. And not only that, her mother had a heart attack, and they found out that her mother was a diabetic. And they didn't know her mother was a diabetic until she had the heart attack. And so her mother was on all kinds of diabetic meds. So she started, because her daughter was having such great success, she started the keto diet. She was able to take herself off all the meds. And she told me she went to see the doctor, and the doctor could not believe she was off all her meds and her blood sugar levels have stabilized. So when I came back from that, I said, all right, I had a pizza that night, and I'm like, I got to do this because I can't stand all the weight I'm carrying around. It's not my weight. I've done the deep thought to say, really, where is this coming from? It was created for a form of protection for myself, but my weight really got out of control when I stopped eating fatty foods, meat and stuff. So I said, if I'm going to do this, I'm going to do it. So I started about February 20th, and I do not recommend doing it the way I went and did it. Don't go cold turkey. I went cold turkey, and I remember I told you I was having problems with my neck, and I was having severe headaches, and I felt awful. I went into detox, right into straight detox, because I did it so quickly. So basically, what is keto? I didn't tell you that. Keto is a low-fat, almost no carbs, and very moderate protein diet. And let me tell you, I decided I was going to have bacon. That I always liked bacon, and that was the last meat I had given up. And it's loaded with fat. I had that bacon. The first bacon I didn't realize was cured in sugar. You gotta check the labels, people. Check the labels. They hide sugar in everything. That first bacon I had was better than chocolate. I almost say it was as good as sex. It was so friggin' good. And you know what? The last candy bar I bought a month ago, the last chocolate, which is 85% Keto, which I could have on this diet, hasn't been touched. I still drink the raw milk. I still drink my protein powder. I add a little extra powdered chocolate to that, which is allowed. And that is my morning treat. That is my frap. That's my ice cream. That is my treat for the day. And then I have a couple eggs loaded with cheese, some avocados, bacon, cheese. You eat a lot of cheese, and the change in my body has been dramatic. I'm almost a month in, and I didn't want to share it with anybody right away because, we try things and, we say we're going to do things. No, I just kept quiet, and I'm going to do this because I'm sick and tired of feeling sick and tired. And I still have some issues, but my energy level is a lot better than it has been. The energy is way up. And, so like cures like. And I realize, and what keto does, okay, it's not like the keto, it's not the same ketos you get like on a diabetic. It's a similar word, but it's not the same thing. But what happens is you're training your body to burn fat, which our bodies naturally would have done. It's sort of similar to paleo diet. Some of the things are very interchangeable. It's cutting out all those carbs. It's increasing the fat and moderate protein. So the basis for everybody is 5% carbs, 20% protein, and 75% fat. Now, like I said, I kind of went into it cold turkey because before I went on my pizza binge, I was not a person that consumed a lot of sugars. I ate a lot of chocolate, but I did not consume a lot of sugars. I had cut way back on my carbs, so it really went easy for me. I went to like one meal a day in a matter of 2 to 3 days. I was eating one meal a day. I don't feel hungry. I have no cravings. For sugar, I use stevia, and what I use for stevia is a whole leaf stevia. You can get that at not Whole Foods. I don't know if you can get it at Whole Foods, but you can get that at your local co-ops, your markets that cater to those kinds of things. It's a raw leaf, so it's all it is crushed and dried leaves from the stevia plant. That's all it is. So it's no extra additives. It's not pulled apart, like I talked about, the constituents are pulled out or nothing. It's just the plant leaf, and I find that works great. But then I don't crave the sweets. I put a little in what I call fat bombs, where you make coconut oil and coconut butter, although I'm not using a lot of that, but that does help. You can start with 3 meals a day and just start increasing your fat. So it's something that's been done. So another thing what I wanted to talk about that is therapeutic for all types of autoimmune disorders. Now, there's something that ties that in with Lyme disease. If you were so purported to read Healing Lyme by Stephen Buchner, which I tell you need to almost have a medical degree to read this book, or at least have some inkling into medical, because it's really hard to read verbatim. But what I got out of this book, and what the research, okay, nobody's going to tell you this, okay, but the research is this is solid research that he writes about. There's a fairly strong indication that most autoimmune diseases are caused by Lyme disease. Now, one of the reasons Lyme disease is so present, and I don't want to talk too much longer, but I do want to come back to that to get to my point, but is because we've changed our body ecology. And because we've changed our body ecology, it makes it easier for the bacteria that the Lyme is to take hold in our bodies. And so a lot of these people with these autoimmune diseases, when they go on a keto diet, then they heal themselves. They become healed, or can't say cured, but they become healed from the diseases. Now, keto was first started, I remember hearing about keto, a high-fat diet, when it stopped epileptic seizures. There was a woman that I remember there was a program on where her son was an epileptic, and they kept giving all these medications and they weren't doing the job, so she did a lot of research and she found like a high-fat diet really was healing the symptoms of epilepsy. So this is nothing new, and it's been around a long time. So going back to how we've changed our body ecology. Now, I also, if anybody doesn't know, but I used to work with horses a lot. I owned my own horses back when I was younger. They were an integral part of my life. So several years ago, not that long ago, I took a study course on the digestion of the horse. And what has happened is in the horse's intestinal tract has not changed for millennia, right? It's still the same digestive tract that they've had for thousands of years. And what's happened, and this is why horses get colic so much, is because we domesticated them and we've taken them down to, in most places, 2 meals a day. And that's the worst thing a horse can have. The horse is used to grazing. They're grazing animals. So that's a little bite here, a little bite there, walking in between, moving. When most people put them in stalls, not everybody, but they put them in stalls and they feed them food in the morning, food in the evening, maybe they get some exercise in between, maybe they don't. So, the gist is they need to be on pasture. And then we screwed that up because we made the grasses full of sugar, so that screws them up if the pasture has been so-called improved, and then that screws up their diet too. So, that's what we've done to the horses. Well, we've done the same thing to ourselves. We are no longer, everything is big agriculture where we've really totally effed up, and I'm going to say we've fucked up the food system. We've genetically modified the wheat. So you can't blame all the carbs. It's the way we have really totally changed the grains to what they were not, what our ancestors were eating. They are not the same plant that our ancestors were eating back in the day. So we've changed all that. So back in the day when we were hunter-gatherers, we ate a lot of fat because that's what gave us stamina. The natives made the same, I don't know how to pronounce it, but it began with a P, but it was this, kind of this fat sausage stuffed with fat, berries, and things. So if they were going on a long journey, that would give them the stamina. So doing the paleo and the keto, when I said they're very similar, it's all about going back to the way our guts were designed to process food. So on the keto, what it does is it trains your body to start burning fat instead of the carbohydrates that have become the mainstay of the American diet. It's all carb-based. Remember the food pyramid and the carbs on the bottom and little tiny fat up here? This is totally flipping it on its head. And it makes sense. And it doesn't mean, well, you eat carbs and, if you don't have a weight issue, that's all right. But for me, somebody like me has a weight issue. Basically, my body is saying, you need fat. You need fat. I need fat. I need more fat. Because it's not getting the fat. I'm not eating the fat. So what happens when I start eating the fat, that high fat content, my body starts eating that fat. And then, now that I'm only eating one meal a day, that throughout the rest of the day, then my body will start going into its fat stores and burning that fat. And I'll keep you posted. Maybe it won't work for me, but I know it's been over a month. I'm going to cut this short from now. It's been over a month, close to a month, that I've been doing really good. I'm feeling a lot of changes. Don't do as quickly as I did. You can start with 3 meals a day. Nothing wrong with that. I don't recommend it. Doing it cold turkey. It just happened that way for me because, like I said, I was not a big sugar eater. I was not a big carb eater to begin with, So, and you can eat cheese. You can eat cream. You can have, there's so much nuts. There's so much good stuff you can have that you don't feel starved. I'll take a picture, put on Pinterest maybe of what I make for my meal tomorrow. I don't know what it will be yet. So that's long enough. That's a long enough ramble. Put that on stop and have a wonderful day, my tarot peeps. And much love and healing to everybody, and especially to Jen and Diane. Understand it. Over and out.